Oh, hey, didn't see you over there. I was just reading that Biden has legalized pot. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but he's pardoning some offenders and reviewing the Schedule 1 rating, all of which I agree with, actually. This is one of the few things he's done that I think is a good thing. Marijuana is one of those things that's been wildly overclassified and really is way less dangerous than alcohol. We have it sold all over the place in stores now, and so let them bank, let them make money, tax the heck out of it, and let's fill some potholes in the street. However, every time something like this happens, it always begs the question on this subject.
Because drugs should not be illegal in the United States. Not just marijuana, but all drugs. Simple possession should not be an actionable crime. It harms nobody. You can say it harms society, fuck society. People have a right to do what they want to do with their bodies. I do not care if a person smokes crack in the comfort of their own home. So long as there aren't kids around, and so long as no one's peddling it to minors, and so long as no one's drug pushing, I just don't give a damn.
Oh, but you will. Especially now that you're raising a child. Now, I don't hold any personal animus against Sticks, and in fact, I agreed with his position when I was a young lad. I remember the year 2000, the first year I could vote. I voted for the Libertarian candidate because who am I to tell people what they should do in the comfort of their own homes or put in their own bodies? As I get older, I realize because we do live in a society, and these sorts of things don't stop at the door. And the problem is, some of these substances are so destructive to the body and mind, they become society's problem. Now, maybe philosophically, maybe in a perfect world, you could have legal drugs, but then you've got to be ready to enforce every last other law and imprison people for all the other laws. No public camping, no petty theft, no loitering, no pushing shopping carts around with tons of your crap up and down the street aimlessly all day. You have to be ready to enforce the rest of the society's laws if you're going to have totally legal drugs. Okay, we're going to have a treatment center on every corner. Well, you better have those staffed, funded, and ready and working, because they're not working in California. The Epic Times did a fantastic piece, featured through Zero Hedge here, on the modern-day opium dens. They'll kick you out if you go in there with a camera if they think that you're with the news and you're actually documenting the failure of these sort of legalize it all policies. And of course, I've argued this on the Nextdoor app where I communicate with my neighbors because, well, I'm poor and I live in a middle lower class neighborhood, so I get to see all this stuff firsthand, whereas my neighbors in the Heights, well, they have this philosophical approach to it where they're like, they're not all druggies. We should provide them free homes or services, and you should go and talk to them and get to know them. And, we need to be welcoming and understanding because it's hard times. And it's like, dude, we don't have all day. And come down here and see what these people are doing. I went for a walk on my local dog park trail Thursday night, and I saw no less than 3 groups of men, early 20s, with little tent set up just a few feet off the paved trail there, getting high. One guy actively hitting a crack pipe while a lady pushed her stroller past on the trail. Just 3 feet away. 3 feet away from the little kid. Right there in front of everybody, no fear. But of course, when I make these arguments, there's always these people that come out and call me intolerant. But we had an event the other day that I think was finally crazy enough, wild enough, that it opened the eyes of even the most strident reality denier. Because these are the real world practical effects of these drugs. This is what happens when you replace the Christian virtue of discernment with its secular corruption of tolerance. Because tolerance has no red line. As soon as you say no further, you are no longer tolerant. So what you're seeing here, it was someone they caught this on their dash cam, and it's just a few seconds of it, but they posted the event, and it's a guy, and he's kind of like skateboarding or riding this utility trailer, and he's going down a 4-lane highway towards a bridge. It's busy, it's in the center of town, and according to the people that reported the story, of course, he has traffic backed up on both sides because everybody's terrified he's going to hit somebody or hit something or spiral out of control. Now, from what they said, luckily he did not, and other people reported that later he was pulled over to the side and the cops were talking to him, and so situation is under control again. Now, setting aside the vast amounts of resources that had to be expended, society's resources that had to be expended, in order to fix this crazy problem of this his body, his choice kind of situation, think of how bad this could have gone. I mean, he could have killed somebody. He could have hurt a kid. He could have caused a wreck, cars swerving to miss him. He loses control. On a 4-lane road like this, I mean, you could have caused a pileup of 10, 20 cars easy. The issue is it doesn't stop with his body, and it doesn't stop at his front door. Of course, he probably doesn't have one. He's cracked out of his mind. But whether you like it or not, it becomes society's problem. This is the reality. This is the fruits of that argument of let anything go. Now, I've done a video on this in the past, but I talked about when I went to college, and it was a very liberal town, and they kind of let everything go. And we followed this guy. We were drinking at a bar once, and he led us under this bridge that was like an open-air opium den, and everyone was ripped out of their gourd, and I've never seen anything like it. And it was like 60 people standing there perfectly still in various states of ecstasy to despair, all ripped out of their mind because they weren't enforcing the law. And it was just probably a lot of dropout kids or local kids. I mean, I don't know. And then just a few weeks after that, they got a bad shipment of black tar, and all these homeless people died. Well, who do you think it was? It was all these kids. So I shared this story, and I talked about what people don't actually see when they're talking about the philosophical position of hard drugs. And I hope this woman won't mind. She shared this story, and it's about her son. She says, "I love this story and how true it is. I am going through hell with my youngest. He was finally arrested, and the judge dropped all charges. I have never been so disappointed. He needs help. They caught him, and they let him go. I am working in another state right now, but I am going back to Marchman Act him, and hope that he can get the help he needs." So the families of these people, remember, we live in a society. That person didn't come out of nowhere. They also have a family, and they have a family that's brokenhearted. Not all of them. Some will probably have horrible upbringings, but a lot of people get snagged on this. They're partying. Hey, try this. They try it. Next thing you know, everything's spiraled out of control. It's not a perfect system, but at least with these drugs illegal, so you can arrest people, force them to go through the withdrawal, force them into treatment, they actually get the help they need. And a lot of people have said that we're addicted to these drugs and living on the street, getting arrested is what saved my life. So this is a case where your compassion is actually nothing but cruelty. Your apathy is the most horrid state you can leave a human being in, is to just let them rot in the street in the throes of their own addictions. It's disgusting. And of course, it becomes society's burden. Healthcare, police resources, taking a dookie in the creek. Where do you think all that human waste goes? I have to get my septic system certified twice a year so that not one little drop of pee-pee goes in the public waterway. I mean, you get a fine if you leave a pile of dog poop on a trail. And yet, a human being creates a heck of a lot more waste than that. I have to say, the libertarian in me has died. Grandma and Grandpa were right. And while we can certainly be more discerning in our application of rules and laws and how we approach different substances and classify them correctly and all of that, we also need to step out of our intellectual ivory towers and join Team Reality.